Hello, making a video. Anyway, I'm going to go over some more of the Suicideforcelluloid guy's video. Just because he keeps whining that he got misparaphrased. These other assholes say this crap, and it's just so irritating. So I did two videos, right? One video, I listened to his video, took notes, and responded to the video. Played a couple of minutes of the video. In the other video, I played the entire video and responded to it. And it just seems it doesn't matter what I do, these fuckers complain. And they complain inanely and insanely. So here, this asshole posts two comments. When did I make the moral subjectivist argument? Alright, so I'm going to play the part. And first I'll do the part that leads up to it. But I mean, I'll play it. I mean, he read a fucking script of it. And it ended with inner subjective agreement. Inner subjective agreement. That's the moral subjectivist argument. Inner subjective agreement defines value. That's what you said in the video. You don't understand the moral subjectivist argument is based on that? Inner subjective agreement is what defines value. There is no real value. You said the word. Well, I'll play you saying the words. But again, two quotes. Why do you think I'm a moral nihilist? Because you're a moral subjectivist, which is the same thing as a nihilist. It's just idiotic. So, and then I'll play, I'll read a couple of comments on my video. I mean, one about that Carla thing. It's just, they're just so hilarious. They're just, I gotta. Anyway, so I'm going to try to parse this, his little speech here that he reads, and then we'll just go through their premises. So this is what he believes in, apparently. I mean, he's reading it, so let's play with it. Know the difference, we understand the difference, and we know the difference has value. And it's just silly not to recognize what's fundamental and intrinsic to the sensations themselves. Wait a minute, it's the wrong place. I want to be like 9 minutes.
The various isms that I disagree with or that I think are absurd.
So I don't know what did that just mean? So anti-natalist and anti-natalism are different things. Oh, wrong video. No wonder. Sorry. Whoops. Yeah, so it's it's comments on that video I want to play, but it's this video that I want to play at 9 minutes and 11. Sorry. That is something other than it just feels wrong.
Premise 1. Particular beings act according to the necessity of their own ontology. Premise...
Okay. Beings act according to their own ontology. How? So you mean the purpose they're constructed for is the only purpose they can have? So if Tyrannosauruses got enlightenment first, there would be no hope they could become vegetarian? They could have a conversation about what's right or wrong, that it's okay. They wouldn't even have a conversation about let's euthanize the prey first or something. What does that mean? They're not glued to anything. They can rationally look at the world and come up with all kinds of plans for their existence. That's what intelligence allows you to do, is come up with plans for your existence. You think we can't in any way see past biology at all. The brain can't do any kind of imagining different constructs for which we could live in or exist in. We must be apes. I think there's just no way you can make that argument, can you? Just look out your window. Civilization is here, fella.
2. Human beings are particular beings.
Human beings are particular beings. Wow, isn't that interesting? So, I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're individuals? Like all the other animals are individuals and they're part of a class and species? They can have some general common tendencies? But they're particular?
Conclusion 1. Human beings unfold according to the nature of their own ontology.
Well, I think that's saying what you said the first time. Humans unfold based on the nature of their own ontology. So what is that? Their own. They're not constructed by a culture. So you're saying that people in the Middle East become Muslims because it's like an Arab thing. It's in the genes. Mohammed is in their genes. It's not just a stupid meme. Or are memes part of ontology?
Premise 3. The ontology of the human emerges from a confluence of social, material, and evolutionary forces.
Social, material, and evolutionary forces. So, by social, what is that exactly? Are you including education, conversation, edification? I don't know if it needs to be social, does it? I mean, I don't have to socially interact to to construct something of my own, unique to my own invention. I can invent something independent of social interaction. I guess I would have to have interaction with historical data, but I guess one could argue that, you know, the first humans didn't have that advantage. But anyway, let's not pick it to pieces. You're still sounding like you're saying it's all glued to some sort of blueprint, beyond the blueprint being human beings, once they gain language and the capacity to recognize rules of logic, tend to more reliably construct narratives of reality, stories of reality, models of reality. They get more and more realistic as time passes, as they figure out the errors of their ways.
Premise 4. The will to the propagation of genes is necessarily entailed in organisms that are formed through evolutionary processes.
Necessarily entailed. Again, yes, they have that functionality, but quite obviously we've outsmarted our genetic function. We don't just piss and poo anywhere anymore. Okay, we don't circle the ground and take a dump. You know, we've lost a lot of our native habits. We shave, we do lots of different things to change our configuration from the natural order. So that isn't really saying much. Well, it's not really saying anything. It's just junk.
Conclusion 2. Human beings at an ontological level have a natural drive to procreation, and as such follow.
So they have a natural drive to procreation. So you don't separate sex from procreation. And you don't think humans are smart enough to separate those two things. Their drive is to procreate, not to have sex. So when you have sex, you're thinking, I really want to have a baby. So even if somebody is homosexual, you're saying they really want to make a baby. And they're just hoping, you know, that somehow it'll work out. You know, there'll be an egg that wants to be fertilized in somebody else's butt, and it'll all work out somehow. Because they really want to procreate. They don't want to have sex. They want to procreate. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's a single animal that wants to procreate. Okay, they're being tricked by nature because they were all stupid, and that's the truth of it. They all didn't know what the implications were, and now we do know, and so now we don't have to be stupid. We don't have to be suckered. So, wrong, I'd say. I mean, obviously the reason why we have sex as a desirable event is because it led to procreation in nature. But obviously with the tiniest bit of modification, it doesn't lead to procreation anymore, it just leads to pleasure. So there's nothing obligating us to associate the act with procreation anymore at all. And so I would argue that, and there's certainly no will, W-I-L-L. So that, I think, is a way overstated.
From premise 1, will tend to act in accordance with said drive.
Again, they won't tend to do that. billions of people don't have children, so they obviously tend not to do that. Obviously, the majority of people tend to have less than the necessary number of children to maintain human existence. That's what the majority of people are doing right now on planet Earth. So the tendency is obviously, if this word tendency is to mean anything, quite obviously the tendency has changed.
Premise 5, ought implies can. Conclusion 3.
Ought implies can. That's right. We can make a choice whether to procreate or not. So, are you disputing that? That it's certainly we can easily make a choice to prevent pregnancy.
It cannot be unethical for the human species to propagate itself, as from conclusion 2 and premise 5, it's an inevitability.
There you go. So, is that logical in your book, people? Does that make any kind of sense? Even if you're a pro-natalist, does that really make any sense that people have no choice? It's inevitable that I will procreate? It's inevitable? And that and if I don't procreate, I'm somehow some sort of aberrant when I'm doing exactly what most people are doing, which is procreating insufficiently to maintain human existence. It doesn't seem like it's inevitable. It seems like it's only happening because we're letting the dumbest 10% of the human race create an idiocracy. And you're just fine with that.
Now, I know that that's a question of whether or not it is moral or immoral, the human species to propagate itself.
Said ethical before, and now he said moral. So I don't know why.
But I think that's what matters, because morality is the question of how should I act.
So is ethics.
Now, when you ask this question of value, I asked you before what makes you think that this kind of instrumental reasoning is sufficient or interesting or the right toolkit to use to investigate this problem.
Yes, because I think there's a fact of value, so that's why it's the right toolkit. That's right. Deduce. We can deduce the value components, and then we can do the math.
Because it doesn't seem to matter to me all that much whether or not kids are valuable, right? Whether or not human life or life as such is valuable.
Is that part of the question here? No anti-natalist, I don't think, is making any argument about the value or disvalue of a particular human life. The argument is about whether or not it's a ethical creation, whether the process of creating life is of ethical, decent merit.
It seems to me that your standard of value is arbitrary as well, as all standards of value are.
Okay, all standards of value are arbitrary. Now, I don't know, buddy, but that sounds like a moral nihilist to me. Would a moral nihilist say it some different way than all standards of value are arbitrary? Wouldn't a moral nihilist say exactly that? That if you claim a value, there is no legitimacy to the claim? Arbitrary means illegitimate, substantially. It means that there is no connection between cause and effect in terms of logic or purpose or function. So, how was I wrong to deduce from that statement that you're a moral nihilist? Let's hear it again, just for fun.
Because morality is the question of how should I act. Now, when you ask this question of value, I asked you before what makes you think that this kind of instrumental reasoning is sufficient or interesting or the right toolkit to use to investigate this problem. Because it doesn't seem to matter to me all that much whether or not kids are valuable, right? Whether or not human life or life as such is valuable. it seems to me that your standard of value is arbitrary as well, as all standards of value are.
Can't get any clearer, right? You really can't, right? So we'll play some more, though. I mean, it's already done, but he's going to cook himself some more with the famous intersubjective agreement standard.
They are intersubjectively arrived at. That's what...
There, intersubjectively arrived at. So all you need is a mob, and you have the truth. You know what value is. You possess it. You've got it. And somehow it's not arbitrary. So somehow popularity isn't arbitrary. Popularity somehow proves credibility. So I would say that is the, the popularity fallacy. The argument from popularity, right? Boo! Everybody knows that's crap.
Value is. So the fact of the matter is that the human species, again, intersubjectively, deems that it is of value to continue to...
So they deem it, okay? But it doesn't mean anything. It's just a deem. It's been deemed dogmatically by the human race. Deemed. Incredible, not credible, not sourced, not meaningful, not relevant, arbitrarily through intersubjective agreement of the whatever might mob. The might mob will tell us what is right. And they are right because they're the right mob. Yeah, I'm not supposed to call this what it is. Intersubjective agreement isn't exactly the terminology used by value relativists, moral relativists. So yes, you're a moral relativist, you're a moral nihilist, quite clearly. You speak their speak, you talk their talk, and clearly, even in your previous statement, you walk their walk. I don't see any value. I don't see any reason to talk about value when it comes to a life or a welfare or any of that stuff. I don't see any value in any of this mush. I mean, what the fuck, fella? Come on. So don't be posting 2 comments on my video whining that I have misparaphrased you or put words in your fucking mouth. That's your own mouth. Those are your own fucking words. I mean, there's nothing that can be said except fuck you. So anyway, let's deal with this irrational comment by Carlo the Irrational. Value isn't relative, but it is relational. Well, isn't that interesting? Yeah, value's relational. Well, how can anybody make anything out of that? What, relational? How so? Oh, I guess you'll say so. That's why I do not have to value your suffering. So she's saying she doesn't have to value mine or anything's suffering. So there's no logical mandate. There's no unavoidable logical imperative to say, yes, I understand what value is, I feel it. The only way she could disconnect is to somehow think she's doing something special, or it thinks it's doing something special, and that the other people's consciousnesses, their suffering is somehow different than hers, because she will claim that she has a capacity to be hurt and harmed and degraded, and she understands it to be valuable, no doubt. So why wouldn't she be logically obligated to think the other things having the same sort of experience, that experience would have to be valued? You don't have to value the person experiencing it. You don't have to have compassion, but you certainly have to value the actual experience and recognize that it means something. Logically. There's no rational alternative, is there? Is there a rational alternative for a supercomputer or any kind of intelligence, any kind of logical device, not to be obligated to recognize that in any scenario it has an obligation to recognize when sentient harm is going to be created or caused? What would the rational reason why you would not pay attention to it at all be? If you're creating any experiment that involves a sentient organism that may experience sensual suffering, How can you rationally say, I have no obligation to consider the suffering? I don't even have to consider it as anything. It doesn't mean anything. It is as meaningless as a battery, or a piece of dirt, or a piece of dog doo. It has no meaning. Sentience has no meaning. Can that possibly be a logical statement, a logical belief? Based on the information we have as sentient creatures, can you possibly find any way to say that's reasonable? Is there any sentence you could construct where you could explain why suffering should ever be totally ignored? You only value it yourself, which is meaningless. You value things by understanding, and sometimes you value them by what it makes you feel, right? So, I mean, I value food because I'm hungry. I don't really particularly intellectually have much of respect for it. I don't think much of it intellectually. But obviously on a biological level I do, so my intellect is obligated to acknowledge that food has value because it will produce satisfaction when I eat it. But obviously we can intellectually understand value. We don't just feel our way through life, we think our way through it. Well, maybe you don't. I do. Value it yourself because it is yours, not mine. You only value it yourself because it is yours, not mine. So she's saying that if I'm having a feeling, you're having a feeling, that I am intellectually have no logical reason to recognize your feeling as being substantially the same in terms of its qualitative equality as mine. I am free, or there's some reason to believe that your feeling may be entirely negated, and that the only feelings that matter are my feelings, and that there's some sort of rational reason why that would apply. There is none. There's no rational settings. Value is relational, she said again. That's the truth. Sorry if it offends you. Well, yeah, Mengele offends me. Dahmer offends me. All the people who believed as you do offend me. People who think that other people are less than them offend me. Okay, your feelings are not better than my feelings, and you have absolutely no logical reason to discount the importance of my feelings. And I'm quite sure if I proposed causing you some unnecessary, frivolous, stupid harm, you would be quite capable of saying no thank you very much. And you would say it for a reason, and you have an obligation to apply the same reasons to any other sentient being as the feelings themselves are the same. The cost-benefit analysis are relational too. Again, this relational thing doesn't mean it's not even a word. A company calculates the benefit to itself. Well, we're not companies. And obviously most people are quite aware of the fact that companies are sadistic bastards who give no care for the value of the human sentience. They exploit every day and harm every day. They'll cut your arm off and write it off on their bottom line, or file an insurance claim, and maybe they'll double the indemnity so they get extra money back, so they can actually make a profit. You get your arm cut off, they make a profit. So no one is thinking that human beings should think like a company. Not some absolute benefit. A company calculates the benefit to itself, not some absolute benefit. Well, again, we're intellectuals, we're not companies. We have a broader responsibility. Well, companies, I would say, do have more of a broader responsibility, but no one's imposing it. And companies are owned by the most sadistic, evil assholes on earth. So, quite obviously, they have no brain of them. Their company doesn't have a brain. Okay, it's run by an individual calculating their self-interest. This conversation isn't about what your self-interest is. It might be in your self-interest to harm somebody, but that's not the subject, is it? The subject is what's the ethically right thing to do. And the ethically right thing to do, and everybody knows it, is not for a company to make money having people have their arms cut off. Everybody knows that. because there's no such thing. All costs and benefits are relational. Well, again, it's just idiotic. There's just no point in silly notions that the game we're playing doesn't have multiple pieces on it, and how good a game it is depends on how well the players survive the game, and that you can't claim victory in a game where your equals were losers in an excess proportion. It's just rational common sense. You can't kill the members of your team, kind of thing. You can't consume, more than the value of what you're producing in terms of your own comfort. You can't use something else's suffering to gain your comfort and call it a profitable adventure. It's clearly not profitable. I mean, by your standards, if I built a $15 nuclear power plant that was guaranteed to melt down in 3 years, you'd say go for it. Because it doesn't matter how many people I torture, I win. I make a profitable enterprise, I gain a profit, and there's nothing else for me to consider. Nothing else matters. That would be idiotic. It would be illogical to think that way. Totally illogical to think that any such equation could make any sense whatsoever. But these people are just, this is how insidious these value nihilists are. They are disgusting, grotesque, illogical creatures. I mean, just grotesquely illogical. I don't know why people do all this spamming shit. It's just, I just have to waste my time unspamming comments all the time. I mean, why do you keep doing this shit? I mean, just let it go. This isn't spam. Somebody can have an asshole opinion. You don't mark it as spam. It's just bullshit. Downrate it, but, this is just bullshit. I mean, I don't know what it said. LOL. This guy says things either implicitly or explicitly, and then he acts like he didn't say it. So it's this guy's Bob is answering this idiotic moral nihilist thing, and his comment got spammed. Just bullshit. I mean, he's just pointing out, oh yeah, he said it. Obviously, I just played it in the video, so he quite obviously said it in more than one way, in more than one sentence. I mean, it can't be denied. He first said exactly what a moral nihilist would say, and then he said exactly what a value relativist would say, a moral relativist would say. I mean, you can't get any more explicit. Let's see what this guy says. He basically pointed out in this video that he doesn't have an understanding of morality beyond consequentialism, because it basically seems absurd to him that there even are moral. Well, again, he used the word ethics. If you, again, I'm not going to play it again, but he first started off talking about ethics, and then he changed the word to moral. Schools beyond this. And I, obviously, in my video that he was responding to, clearly stated I have no use for the word moral. So, again, who's putting words in whose mouth? Fuckhead. I'm not saying it's correct to think this, but I can actually understand why somebody would have this misunderstanding if they hadn't had any formal philosophical education. Most people have no idea about formal normative systems. Well, I'm sorry, this is absolute crap. Alright? I mean, the guy says there's no such thing. It's all arbitrary. Did you hear him say the word arbitrary, fuckhead? Gary probably has the view he does based on the facts that he gleaned from the world, not studying any form of concept. Look, I've read your consequentialists, your all your Kantian. Here we go, Kantian. All these assholes who can't put 4 sentences together that actually seem coherent to each other. I mean, these guys are, colorful language, interesting sentence structure. Some of it might be called nice poetry, but it doesn't come anywhere close to being something that's logical. Sorry, friend. Okay, so it's not, in my opinion, philosophy, because it has nothing to do with dissecting reality. It has everything to do with confusing people. And that's the nature of poetry, in my opinion. Talk about arbitrary. So anyway, stop spamming comments, cunts. So anyway, fucking people. And Star of Sagittarius guy, you are an asswipe. I hate your inane, idiotic comments, and don't be calling my neighbors, okay, asking to get unblocked. That's really bogus, you stupid fuck. I mean, really, you people are just so out of control. You gotta make phone calls to get unblocked, and then you make the phone call to the wrong fucking house?